3 Smart Growth Committee meeting to order at 6:09 PM with myself, Councilwoman Lisa Dorsey, and Councilman Patrick McCoy. Are there any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding any items not on the agenda? Seeing none, let's move to discussion item number 3A. Consider solicitor attendance for a zoning appeal of 127 East Neal Street. Applicant seeks relief from section 112-602 D to allow off-street parking.
Yep. So this is it's a little wonky how this one plays out, but because the zoning ordinance says that all driveways have to comply with the subdivision and land development ordinance, the requirements of the SALDO ordinance now become part of the zoning ordinance, which they have to get a variance for from those provisions of the SALDO. So they are really seeking relief from the requirement to have a driveway within 40 feet of an intersection on the alley there. I see no reason to send the solicitor to this hearing here.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Any questions from the audience regarding discussion item A? Seeing none, no objections, we can move forward with that. Discussion item B, consider solicitor attendance for a zoning appeal, 111 South Poplar Street. Applicant seeks relief from section 112-304 to allow for residential parcel for agricultural use and as a principal use on a vacant lot.
Yeah, so 111 South Poplar, we received an application for this. They'd like to use the parcel there as a community garden. Unfortunately, the way the zoning is written, we can't allow that as a standalone use there. So they have applied for the variance. Again, it is a use variance, but it's so low impact. We don't recommend sending the solicitor for this one either.
Yep, no questions.
Any questions?
No questions.
Any questions from the audience on discussion item B? I think we could move forward with that as a 3-0. Discuss Hop Fidelity LLC retail alcohol agreement.
So this is a standard agreement that we ask any business owner who receives a brewery license from the state, from the LCB. We ask them to voluntarily enter into these agreements with the borough. If we don't, we have really no control or regulation over them because the state approves these licenses for the breweries. It's not like a regular liquor license transfer where they would come in front of borough council and have a hearing. State approves them and they're good to go. So at least this gives us a little bit of control over time frames of where they can sell beer, or how long they can sell beverages, or where they can sell them. So it does have a little bit of ability for us to have some enforcement over these. Nothing out of the ordinary with these, and we've had several. I think there's about 5 or 6 of them that we have agreements with in town. And they're just really boilerplate that the attorneys draw up, and then the applicant will then agree to it, which they have signed this one. This is the last step. We just need borough council to approve the agreement.
For the record, that's Sterling Pig, correct?
This is Hop Fidelity, the record store on Market Street, which is actually right down the street from
Yes.
Sterling.
Okay,
Pig.
Next
gotcha.
to it, pretty close.
I didn't see any issues with this, if it's standard. Any questions?
Yep, no questions.
No objections.
Any questions from the audience, item C? Okay, we can move forward with that. Item D, discuss PennDOT highway occupancy permit requirements related to new dining platform applications.
So we have received an application from Sterling Pig to place a dining platform in a parking spot on Market Street. They had requested this a couple years ago, but we've asked them to just hold off because we knew of all the utility work that was going to be taking place along Market Street. There's lane closures, there's paving that needs to still be done. But in the course of their application, it was discovered that PennDOT is now requiring any property who's putting these dining platforms out on the street to receive approval from PennDOT to make application. PennDOT will review it, and they have to get an HOP, which is a highway occupancy permit. The problem is the borough needs to be a co-signer on that application. Previously, that wasn't the case. PennDOT wasn't really, they were aware of what we were doing on Gay Street, and we have one on Market Street currently, but they hadn't gotten involved. They didn't have any regulations for them at that point. So any of these new ones that come in are going to be required to go through PennDOT. I don't know what they're going to do for the existing ones. Right now, obviously, we have control of Gay Street, so it's not really going to be a concern there. But sure, there's none on High Street, but any on Market Street that go in are going to have to go through the PennDOT. Being a co-signer on the application is problematic because then it could open up the borough for any liability if there was something to happen with these platforms. As of now, we've had no issues with that because there's no PennDOT HOP on these. We've approved them. There's indemnification agreements that the business owner is signing and holding the borough harmless from everything. But I don't know how that's going to fare with the PennDOT HOP.
So Kevin and I have discussed this, and I feel like there's some risk involved here, and we wanted to have a discussion with you tonight. I think we should also get the solicitor involved before we start signing off on these things. We're just being cautious with this.
Yeah, that was my next question is have we talked to the solicitor and gotten a recommendation?
Not yet. This was the
Yeah, I
first
think
step.
that would be, yeah.
Any comment? Any further comment?
I think I'd probably think about it a little bit and talk about it at work session. I mean, I see the risk. We are indemnified. It happened on Gay Street. I mean, we weren't the co-applicants, but essentially we had the same protection.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one on Gay Street you're referring to.
Talking about prior to
Oh,
the borough acquiring control over ownership over Gay Street. I mean, it was a PennDOT road. They didn't require it then. I understand it's a new regulation. And there's no way around the co-signing. That's just the term of the PennDOT requirement.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll even accept the application if the borough hasn't given their sign off on it as well. I guess the next step, as Sean mentioned, we can talk to the solicitor and see if there's any way around that. We can reach out to PennDOT and see if there's any way around that.
Be
But
interesting to see if the solicitors had experience in other boroughs or townships, that I'm sure are running across the same
Right.
situation now.
All right, any further comments? All right, let's move to action items A, approve the March 2023 Smart Growth Minutes.
Approved.
Approved. All right, any comments about that? Okay, we can move forward. Call that a 3-0. And item B, approve March 2023 HARB submission recommendations. Item number 1, 5 North Wall Street, Limoncello. The recommendations here. With that, Mr. Gore, if you want to go ahead, it looks like with the attachments.
yeah, these were, we can go through them one at a time here. The 5 North Walnut, this is for a revised awning and sign. They had some issues. Limoncello had bought 5 North Walnut a while ago. They're doing interior renovations. and they started making exterior renovations and never really had full HARB approval. And we said, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? You guys didn't follow the proper procedures. So we made them go back. They're revising that. You can see in here that HARB had made some recommendations for the front facade of that building. They're really actually going to have it match the existing buildings that Limoncello are currently in that are owned by Zukin. They're going to have that window, that the little bay window that sticks out there, and really try to match that facade of next door. None of the recommendations here were out of the ordinary or anything significant.
Any questions about the action or item number 1?
No questions.
No.
Any questions in the audience about that? Okay. We can move forward, call that 3-0. Number 2, 17 East Market Street, City of London Investment Management Company, sign.
Yeah, the recommendation was for as submitted, so no issues with this one.
Any questions? All right. Any objections? All right. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, we can move forward. Item 2, 3-0, 125 North High Street, Bobble and Lace, Hunter Gordon proposed sign. That's item number 3.
Yeah, again, a minor recommendation here. They just want the bracket that sign's hanging on to be similar to the one that was approved for Limoncello's application, which was in the previous slide.
Any questions? Right? No objections. Okay. Any questions, objections from the audience? All right. Seeing none, call that 3-0. Item number 5, any other business? Mr. Flynn?
Good evening. Bernie Flynn, 313 West Minor Street in the borough. The earlier action that I was late for, because you guys moved on pretty quickly, was the platforms that you're sending on to Kristen for review. That's for the new platforms coming in. My question basically is, we have one existing platform on a state road, which is Market Street, which is Mercado. I believe that, instead of having to go back to Mercado, back to PennDOT to ask for permission to keep the existing one there, we should probably ask Mr. Gore to ask the question one time, whether it pertains to existing or all platforms on a state road.
Mr. Gore?
If that is the request of Borough Council, I can certainly make an inquiry to PennDOT to see if they are going to apply these new regulations to the existing platforms.
I think that makes sense.
Certainly.
In other business, I just wanted to bring up, Mr. Gore, I noticed that the building and housing report was not added. If you could just give an explanation for the public about that.
Yeah, so for the past couple of months, I haven't been including a actual physical written report on there. We've been doing verbal updates. One reason why we're switching to a new computer software is because we've had issues with our current software. The reporting isn't accurate. The numbers aren't right. I've noticed that when it was generating reports for me, the numbers were skewed. So I didn't feel that the information was accurate, and I didn't want to display that up for the public. So I'd rather just give a verbal update on especially the items of interest that we discuss monthly. Hopefully this new software, I think we're going to be geared up to have something for testing around August, and then hopefully it'll be rolling by the end of the year.
Thank you. One other item in other business, update on the Davis property.
Yep, good update on that. We sent the notice of violation to the property owner. They are in receipt of that. They'll have 10 days to get a fence put up there. I spoke to him. He called me back actually 30 minutes before this meeting. and said that he has the notice. They are going to work with DEP. They're trying to figure out who's going to put the fence up, whether the property owner is going to do it or DEP, because they are trying to expedite getting their equipment in there for the ground remediation. So there's got to be some coordination between them. He said it will be done within the parameters of the notice of violation. If not, we will just issue a citation to them for that. I am meeting with them on site, the property owner and DEP on the 18th. So hopefully we can have a better update on what, moving forward, what's going to transpire, timeframes, things of that nature. And the 17th, I'm also meeting with a prospective developer for that site.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. That was one of my questions. Last night, Mr. Gore, there was a question on the Wyeth warehouse development. Is there any update on that property?
I don't have any significant update than other than what we provided last month. They haven't submitted yet for their final land development. The last I spoke to the developer, they are still working through, and I've seen people down there working. They are trying to pinpoint exact locations of groundwater and contamination. They don't want to run into a problem down the road where they're starting construction and they have a surprise that they then need to mitigate. So they want to have identified all of those locations, those hotspots in there, so that they can just move forward. And it'll save them time and money in the long run.
A tentative or proposed timeline for that construction to start?
Well, the construction won't start until after they've received final land development. So once they submit final land development, and I don't know when that's going to be, that'll run for 90 days.
One other item, the Rubenstein's property regarding the sewer update.
Yep, we do have an update on that. The developer's been coordinating with the borough and Public Works and the borough engineer to try and figure out the sewer flows that are going down South Franklin in order for the borough to approve the infrastructure for the sewer for South Franklin that they're going to be tying into. I think they met on site yesterday with Public Works. The developer is going to be putting in flow meters in 2 locations along the sewer main to estimate and calculate the flows there. So then we can determine whether the infrastructure needs to be upgraded or if it can stay the same. So once that is completed and they have that sign off from the borough, then they're going to submit for their final land development.
Thank you. Any other business? Any other business from the public? All right, motion to adjourn.
Thank you.